Good morning and welcome to another episode of a Migrant's Journey. This is episode 29. We have had 28 amazing stories so far. Please go back and look at those if you haven't watched already. You can head on to my YouTube channel, subscribe to my channel, and you can binge on these videos. It's almost 14 hours worth of content right now over there. So please do subscribe to my channel and get on those. To those who are watching this for the first time, this is a series that I've dedicated to record, migrants' journey, especially the initial struggles with regards to job and culture. And it mostly happens due to a huge gap in expectations, a huge shift in culture, and some other factors. So, if you're planning to move in, the more prepared you are, the better it will be for you. So it's very, very important that you're prepared, and hopefully these real stories will give you some insights on that. So today I have Priyanka with me. Let's straight get into things. Good morning, Priyanka. How are you today?
Hi Vinesh, I'm good. How are you?
Good morning. So it's been a long time since we met. I think we met
Yeah.
last in one of your meetups, and time flies. So, good to see you again. So let's get straight into things. Who are you, Priyanka, and what do you do?
My name is Priyanka Lal. I came in Melbourne in 2017. I was studying Master of Information Systems at Deakin University. And then after that, we started working at RMIT Online as a marketing analyst. It's
Mhm.
been 1 year there. And I have been in Melbourne for over 3 years now.
No, okay. So I think you've been here longer than me. So, so let's get straight into the beginning. I mean, that's how I start usually. So, before migrating to Australia, the moment you realize that you're moving to Australia, what preparation did you do before migrating to Australia?
So since I was coming here for masters, the first thing and the main thing was I was mostly looking at different universities and their courses.
Hmm.
So I was actually looking at like lots of universities and just trying to understand which course would be best for me. And then eventually I decided to go with Deakin. Um, for the other things, jobs and stuff, like I didn't know anyone in Melbourne, so
Yeah,
it was mostly that I'll go there and figure it out.
yeah.
And I had like few friends in India who had contacts here, so they were like, "You will find a job. It will be fine. That you go there, study, and do part time, and you'll be able to sort out your bills and rent and everything."
Yeah.
Because I was working in India for over 2 years,
Mhm.
so getting a job was important to me
Yeah.
because I felt that my parents are paying for the fees, so I wanted to at least manage my own rent and
Hmm.
bills. So that was important for me, but there was nothing I could do from India. I was
Yeah.
mostly looking at the course that
Yeah.
I was going to do.
Yeah. So is there did your homework actually work? As in, was that the reality when you came over here? I mean, especially with regards to job, and the people say it is easy, but I don't think it is.
Yeah, that was the reality
Yeah.
when I came here and I started panicking because it was not that easy the way I was told in India.
Hmm.
Everyone said you'll be fine, there are plenty of jobs and you'll be able to find anything. And once I came here, it was completely different scenario and I was constantly panicking. And at least I had friends in India, they constantly told me that take it easy and give it at least like 3 4 months, you'll take time to settle down, so that helped, but yeah, it took time to get
So,
everything sorted.
how was the initial few months like, a few weeks or months like, with regards to culture, and even the education system is completely different from what we are used to. So,
Yeah.
what was reality for you over there?
Yeah, initially it was just completely different, like lots of mixed feelings. It was also excitement and everything new, just there was so much to explore,
Hmm.
and also that panic that I have to
Yeah.
find a job and things are not working out. But in a way I was like, if I look it at hindsight now, so I didn't find a job in my first trimester, so which was good, that because it gave me time to settle in my studies and get used to the assignments and stuff.
Yeah.
So in first trimester I got that in place. So after that, once I got the job, it was easy to manage both.
Yeah,
So
that's
it was
good.
better that way, I guess.
That's good. So,
Yeah.
I mean, what were your few, surprises or shockers when you came here in the first few weeks, as in something that you didn't expect that happen?
Uh, Nothing
Nothing like
very
that. You were
shocking.
prepared.
Um, like I wasn't even prepared, but in those initial days, it was mostly I was in the uni interacting with all uni friends and stuff like that, and it was mostly Indians in our
Yeah,
class. So it became like a bit of a comfort
yeah,
zone, and we used to work together, work work on assignments.
hmm,
That was okay. Finding the job was difficult, and then people told me to go and like give out resumes, make different resumes and things like that. So I
yeah,
started working on that. And that was a bit different. I used to go in malls and hand out my
mm,
resumes and get rejections and stuff like that.
okay,
But yeah, it was hard initially when you just come from India and you don't
yeah.
expect.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Now, getting into job search, how did you start looking for a job? I'm sure it evolved over time, and I kind of know your story as well. But in the beginning, how did you start, applying, and what was the thought process like?
Even when I decided to come to Melbourne to study, I had like more than 2 years of experience in business analytics, and I was studying business analytics. So I was quite confident that I should be getting a job, and I was hoping that I might get some part-time role during my studies as well. But that didn't happen. But that was my focus right from the beginning. But when I came here, there were like lots of talks about it's hard for people on TR or
Mm.
students. You have to have your PR to get a full time job. But I used to think that why they are saying that, and I have so much experience. How is that
Yeah,
possible? But thankfully, I didn't pay much attention to that, and especially among students and like there's so many Indian people,
yeah,
and we have such sort of things going on,
yeah,
and people tend to believe it. it's
yeah,
it's normal. But yeah, I was not putting too much focus on that. And after first trimester, I started going into lots of workshops, especially at Deakin. We have Deakin Talent, where
mm,
they help students to build on their like job profile and stuff like
yeah,
that. So I was constantly going to those workshops. Eventually, even like I started like going more and more to those workshops. I was constantly there in each
uh,
and every workshop for resume, LinkedIn. So I got to know a lot, and they used to do similar like stories kind of stuff. They would get alumni, and they would tell that they are on TR and they got the job. So that was also very helpful and kind of gave that encouragement, then
yeah,
that no, it is possible. And thankfully, so during those workshops and stuff, I was constantly working on my resume, working on my LinkedIn. So yeah, that those were the things that I was constantly doing
yeah,
because of those workshops and stuff. And then during my final trimester, then I started like putting more things on LinkedIn, and I had my LinkedIn and stuff ready. So I was getting few of like contacts from recruiters as well, who were approaching me. And even during my study, I did one freelance work as well.
mm,
So things started getting building up.
yeah,
And after that, like during my final trimester, I also gave few interviews as well. But yeah, I think I was not like very polished at that time, and even I was not sure what I'm going into. And I was mostly desperate that I'll just do any job.
yeah,
That was the thing. So for me at least, so I was, yeah, constantly getting rejected from those. But that was the time I was also preparing for my final exam
mm,
assignments. Things were just, but and it was quite also disappointing that I was getting rejected at that time. So
mm,
I just told myself that no, I have to focus on my
yeah,
assignments and
absolutely.
exams right now. And I just like told myself that Priyanka, let's take 5 interviews. Those will be just your five
Yeah,
trial interviews. So if you getting rejected to 5 interviews, that's all okay. It's fine.
that's a
I will
really
not
good way to do it.
affect
Yeah.
me.
That
Yeah.
that
So
that's really a good way to do it because rejections is part of a game. I mean,
yes.
I understand it is hard to get those, but
Mm,
you have to be prepared to get those. I mean, there's no
yeah.
way out of it, right?
Yeah, and those were kind of trial interviews that like I started giving answers. There were so many questions, and it helped me prepare and the feedback that I was getting. So I think those things also help you to just
Absolutely.
articulate better. And
Absolutely. I like how you said, it's easy for you to be influenced by negative advice, but it's hard for you to be influenced from positive advice, right? Unfortunately, there's so much negative advice floating out there, and especially, among the student community, you get
yes,
sucked into the part-time or casual job thing, and you say, you'll get a job after PR, which
yeah.
you'll have different excuses coming every now and then,
Mm.
which is unfortunate. But not many people listen to these positive stories that happen out there. I
Yes.
mean, somehow negativity has power over positivity in there, which is unfortunate. But I'm
Mm.
glad that you took that route
Mm.
and you became engaged in the associations or in the meetups or workshops that happened in the university. And there, every university does a lot with when it comes to careers. Just that you have to go there and you have to find what it is. It doesn't come to you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was really good. And the other thing that you mentioned is going for any job, which is also unfortunately easy to get into. Not just international students, even
Mm.
migrants who migrate with a PR, they end up chasing down any
Mm.
job, which kind of backfires. Even though you think you're broadening your spectrum and being open to more things, that actually backfires and becomes less effective than what you're actually looking for. So, good
Yeah.
points you mentioned in
Yeah,
that
I
thing.
think it made a huge difference for me. I used to hear lots of things in workshop that okay, work on like what type of job you want and all. But we hear those things and not pay much attention. And then I was still going to interviews with the normal flow. And then I also got one feedback in the interview that she's a graduate and she's just looking for anything. This
Yeah.
was the feedback
Oh,
from interview. And then I think I started taking it seriously and I did a lot of groundwork and just sat there and just worked it out. Okay, what kind of job I wanted.
so
And that made a huge difference
yeah,
for
that's
me.
that's a very good point. I've started a community recently, and my
Mhm.
first webinar there is about um, work on you. I mean, who are you?
Mhm.
I mean, I asked a few questions. Why should someone hire you? What are your top skills? What are your top achievements? And I didn't get any answer out of anyone. I mean, these people have been applying for jobs for some time now, and they are not ready to, or they don't have a clear picture on what is it, what are they, what are you about, or what are they about, right? Do your homework, get this foundation first, and then get into interviews.
Yeah,
Otherwise it just doesn't work. You might think that it might work one day on a fluke, but
yeah,
the struggles that you go through is, it's definitely not worth it. So yes, it is hard work. You have to establish who you are. um, um, you know if you approach a recruit and if you say I'm open for any job, the recruiter has to decide who you are. If you can't explain, or if you can't explain who you are, no one else can explain who you are, or no one else can explain why they should hire you, right? So get a clarity on who is it that you are first, what are your top skills, why people should hire them, then get into the interviews and job application and stuff like that. So that's really key over here.
yeah.
So
It reflects in your answer. Sorry, like it
yeah,
reflects in your answer
absolutely.
when you are not unsure.
Yeah,
So
it's easy to figure out if you know yourself or you're just going with
yeah.
the flow, right? I mean, and you think interviewers won't understand this, but
Mm.
they've been doing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of interviews.
Yes.
If you lie, they can smell it. That's that's the way I can put it. They can actually smell it and identify that you're not, that the answer is not genuine. And even if you genuinely say one sentence, a couple of
Mm.
follow-up questions, and that stack of cards will break down easily. I
Yeah.
mean, it will easily break down. So let's get into what happened after your final trimester. I mean, you mentioned that you already started giving 5 dummy interviews, if I'd like to say, and then finally things happened for you. So how did that happen? I mean, what was the process you followed in finally getting that
Um,
job?
So getting close to my final trimester, then like we started going to meetups and networking events outside of Deakin. And like yeah, even I'm not sort of that person that I would just go and like go outside and meet people. But I had Ashita with me, and we kind of like buddied together and we
Yeah,
started going. So that was very helpful. I would just say that to people that find a buddy
absolutely.
and go to networking events and like make it fun, make a fun out of it, and like don't treat it as a burden. We used to go there and just like get a challenge to ourselves, like let's talk to 10 people today,
Mm,
and we used to just get separated and talk to 10 people.
yeah,
And those 10 people might not be responsive or anything, but you might find like one or two people who would be good, and you'll make a good contact with them.
yeah.
So yeah, that's how we took it, and yeah, we started going to all the networking events. And then in one event, I met a recruiter. She was from digital marketing, and she was speaking in that event. So she spoke very nicely about the things and the market. And then I went to her, introduced myself, and I was studying at that time.
Hmm.
So we just had a very quick chat. There were other people also waiting to talk to her.
Yeah.
And then after coming home, I made sure that immediately I sent her a request and I wrote a note that, okay, I am studying and I will be looking for a job soon. These are my skill sets and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And that's it. But and after that, there was this usual stuff that I was applying for jobs every day and talking to few recruiters and going to few interviews, and things were just going normally. But then after like 2 3 months, she contacted me because
Awesome.
she found a role in higher education RMIT online,
Hmm.
and she knew that I was working in internship. I did internship at Deakin, and I was working as a casual there in their marketing team.
Hmm.
So she remembered me somehow, and
Awesome.
she contacted me after 3 months.
Yeah, it's surprising to see how the networks or the people you talk to now kind of build up. You might not get immediate
Yes.
response out of them, but 3 months down the lane, I even hear stories where 1 year down the lane they come back and
Mhm.
they, get these breaks. So that's a really interesting story. And I think key point here was your gang or your friendship circle. I think that's very key over here. You had an amazing friend, Ashita. I've already interviewed Ashita. She's in one of the episodes, so please go back and listen to her story as well. So having that positive gang, if you had a friend who said, "Oh no, let's go for part time and
Mhm.
let's make a lot of money," you tend to get sucked into that, right? I mean, it's very important who you gang up with and who your friend circle and what kind of advices float in that circle as well. So and I absolutely love that you went to meetups and took up on that challenge. It's a really good challenge. It's a very challenging challenge, I would say. Meeting, talking to 10 strangers, it's not easy at all. And just like you said, those 10 people might not be useful, but one or two out of them might be responsive, and that is how you build up things. You can't expect all 10 of them to be helpful to you. I mean, they
Yeah.
have their own lives and they have their own priorities. So that's a beautiful challenge. If anyone is watching this, take up this challenge and see how it goes. By the way,
Yeah. I would
yeah.
find a buddy. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, I think we have some issues on LinkedIn today. LinkedIn is not notifying everyone that I have started a live video. So I'm not getting, I don't think many know that we are doing this today. Probably they'll get to know this later on. So if you are watching this, leave a comment or share this video so that people actually see this. Probably because I'm doing too many videos, LinkedIn said, enough of promotion. I mean, I don't like you anymore or whatever it is. So let's get into how you get. So you mentioned that the recruiter approached you, and what was the process like after that? Was it just a few interviews and bang, you got the offer?
Yeah, there were 3 rounds of interview, and
Okay.
then I got the offer. But I would say that that recruiter really showed a lot of confidence in me, and I was
Absolutely.
already in so many interviews around that period
Yeah.
and getting rejected. And obviously I was not too confident, and she came with the job role, and I said, okay, yeah, I'll go for the interview.
Yeah.
But she was like, no, you have the right skill set, and I'm confident that
Awesome.
you can get it.
Yeah.
And like she really put the effort in me. She spent like 1 or 2 hours on call,
Mhm.
uh, preparing me for the interview, asking me questions and giving me feedback. So I really appreciated her effort and her confidence in me. That actually helped me a lot.
Yeah, so I think the recruiters' confidence in a candidate is very important. If they really like you, they will go to length. I mean, because they know what sort of questions are asked in interviews, they know
Mhm.
what the process is, so they can actually give you a huge advantage if they like you, right? If you're just another candidate, they'll just forward the resume and get
Yeah.
processed. So it's very important to get that confidence, and I'm glad that you got it in that case.
Mm.
And about your confidence. People think that rejections and the bad things that happen during job search are actually very bad, and they don't kind of look back into it. But that is what made you confident for this interview. You mentioned you've been giving a lot of interviews and you're
Yeah.
getting a lot of rejections, but that's what made you stronger and
Yeah.
ready for an interview. So like I say, if you get rejected 10 times, for the 11th interview, you'll be 10 times stronger than you were for the first one. So take
Definitely.
rejections in that sense, and that's
Yeah.
very important over here. So, um, how long did it take for you to grab this role after graduation, Priyanka?
So after graduation, I was not like putting my full effort in the job
Mhm.
immediately, job search. I was more like getting like things, other things done, like PT
Okay.
exam, NATI and stuff. But once after doing that, it took me 2-3 months
Okay.
of this like continuous looking. And so obviously I was applying to many jobs, and I would say that none of them converted in
Yeah.
any way, like any conversation on it was. Whatever interviews I gave was through LinkedIn. People approached me, recruiters approached me, or I was
Absolutely.
approaching recruiters. Yeah.
So another example showcasing that online
Mhm.
applications are very ineffective. I mean, if you
Yeah.
are relying just on that, I keep saying this, online applications are probably the least effective way to job search.
Mhm.
So keep that in mind again. Now, after getting a job, you and Ashita started this amazing journey of organizing meetups for international students, where you and Ashita share your story and you take on any questions from international students. So,
Yeah.
what has, by the way, great work on doing that. And what are the common I mean, I'm sure you talk to a lot of international students. You see a lot of international students. You know what common mistakes they make, right? So, what advice would you give to them? I mean, what is some common mistakes that they do, and what is your advice to them?
Like what I have seen in many students as well, that they just get sucked into getting part-time job
Mm,
or focusing on paying their fees. And my focus was always like, I'll get a full-time job, and then I'll be able to pay back to my parents. My parents are taking care of it right now, but I can
mhm.
pay back to them once I am in a right place. But students don't get that, and they are more of like short sighted, and that they
Yeah,
would just focus on getting more money and maybe enjoying in that. They get comfortable usually in that place, that they are getting good money in their
yeah,
casual jobs and part-time jobs, and they don't focus on finding a full-time job or putting any effort into that. So that is one thing. And also during their studies, maybe they're just like enjoying and doing part-time job, which is good. You
mm,
have to do all those things, but also have that long-term focus
absolutely.
that, yeah, you need to find a full-time job. That's why you are here, that's why you came to study masters.
Yeah,
So some people might not have that goal, and which is okay, but if you have that goal, then keep that in mind and also work on that
absolutely.
regularly.
Any specific advice you'd have for people who are in this shutdown time? I mean, people say, I can't go out, I can't talk to people, but there are plenty of platforms out there where you can network. So don't, I mean, what I say is don't sit back and think that there's no job in the market, so why should I work towards it? But what is your advice in that case? I mean, especially for students in this situation.
I would say even like utilize this time to get your LinkedIn really good. And like when I was studying, I used to read lots of articles, and those articles say that look at some top profiles. If you were a business analyst, look at top 5 business analyst profiles and try to recreate that in your profile,
Mm.
and have all those things and read all the articles that how LinkedIn works, and do those things. And I have done all that. If you go to my LinkedIn profile, you will see I have like
So
even
you are
keywords,
one of the
even
top
with those
five
job
business analysts
titles.
now.
No, I wouldn't be the top 5 really, but
People can
I
use
have,
yours as a reference now. Yeah,
but I used to do all those
yeah.
things, and I think that helped me a lot, because I used to, and I still get lots of recruiters approaching me.
Mhm.
So I know, and I get into lot of searches. So because I have read so many articles, I would say Google's first page of articles. I have read all of them, and I used to implement those things into my LinkedIn profile.
Awesome.
So do those kind of groundwork. It's not just that you have to go out and network and talk to people.
Yeah,
I would say it's more of, and use this time to also find what you like and what kind of job you
absolutely.
would like to do. So this is a really good time to put that effort into those things. And my formula now is like, from what I have seen from my experience, it's 80% groundwork and 20% the other stuff.
Absolutely.
So you put that 80%
So,
into your
so
groundwork.
now is probably the perfect time for you to
Yeah.
keep the job search tensions down. I mean, if you know
Mhm.
you won't get a job, keep it down. Don't keep worrying
Yeah.
about it, and work on what you can. The
Mhm.
work on the foundations, like Priyanka mentioned. Work on yourself. Work on LinkedIn. Try to connect to a few people. People like Priyanka.
Mhm.
If you're looking for a business analyst role, talk to Priyanka. I mean, people like Priyanka and Ashita, they're always available for you to help. Talk to people like them and see what's happening and things like that. Don't go for a job. I mean, you keep it away and focus on what is it that you can work. So that's really good advice. Now, last question, Priyanka. You've been to multiple of my meetups. I think the very first one and a recent one as well. So you've seen, the evolution of the meetup. And what did you think about the whole environment and what were your thoughts about it?
No, I think it's really great, and you have been doing a very good job. And I always like the input from recruiters and different stories from migrants and people. So yeah, it's been really good, and I've always liked the stories, and they're so inspiring,
Yeah.
and you work so hard to share them and get them out there. So
Thank you
it's
so
been
much,
really
Priyanka. So, the same. If you're an international student, I'd also highly recommend. I mean, whenever Priyanka and Ashita restarts their meetups, I'll highly recommend to go and attend those. It's at a student level, so if you feel my meetups are, for experienced professionals and big people out there, which is not the case, by the way. But if you think so, go to the meetups organized by Ashita and Priyanka. I mean, they're full of students, international students mostly, and you have that the same sort of audience, and Ashita and Priyanka treat you like that as well. So that's a great place. So thank you so much for your time today, Priyanka. It was a wonderful journey and good to see you again. So I hope
yeah.
your meetups will restart soon and we can catch up
Yeah,
in person,
hopefully.
hopefully. But thank you so much for your time today. Is there anything else you'd like to say, or have we covered it all?
Yeah, we covered it all. If you want to connect with me, you can connect on LinkedIn. We have a group of students who used to come to all our meetups. So we have the entire group. So if you want to be in that group, we can add you. And we usually just share whatever job roles anyone sees there and could be helpful to anyone. We just post it in that group, and nothing
Absolutely.
special, but
Yeah.
just a small group.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Priyanka. So, to all our viewers who are watching us live or replay, I think LinkedIn screwed things up for me today. But if you're watching this replay, please leave a comment either on LinkedIn or YouTube so that your energy can push this videos a bit more further. If LinkedIn gave up on me, I think you can support me. So please do that. I'll come back today with that. Sorry, I'll come back tomorrow with another episode. But until then, I'll see you soon. So thanks, Priyanka. Thanks for
Thank you,
everyone.
Vinesh.
Bye
It
bye.
was great to talk to you. Bye.
Bye.